As you well know, the Salton Sea region suffers from a historic lack of public and private investment, which results in inadequate infrastructure to support economic development, poor air quality, high unemployment, workers without advanced and specialized skills, and limited access to health care. The California EPA's CalEnviroScreen mapping tool identifies a majority of census tracts in the region are disadvantaged and disproportionately burdened by multiple sources of pollution. Today, the Salton Sea region stands at a critical juncture, with a chance to become a major domestic supplier of lithium. This opportunity could drive regional prosperity, create high-paid jobs, support a well-articulated workforce training programs, expand local supply chains, new battery manufacturing, and related R&D facilities. Central to this scenario is the region's ability to unite and attract private and public investment, paving the way for a brighter future. Unfortunately, the region has experienced major boom and bust cycles, economic promises that have often failed to deliver sustainable quality of life improvements to the residents and local communities. You name the state statistic, and in Imperial County is usually near the top or the bottom, whichever is worse. Unemployment, per capita income, welfare recipients, families below the poverty line, elderly living in poverty, and on and on. In 2020, Governor Newsom signed legislation establishing the Blue Ribbon Commission on Lithium Extraction in California. It brought together a broad spectrum of government, nonprofit, and other private sector stakeholders to help the state better understand lithium recovery's opportunities and potential challenges in California and the region. In its December 2022 report, the Commission recommended the establishment of an economic zone that would include Imperial County and the eastern Coachella and Palo Verde valleys. Federal, state, local governments would recognize this zone, which would be eligible to compete for funding and investments. To capture the full benefits of Lithium Valley's renewable energy development, the southeastern desert valleys need a definitive economic development designation and structure that supports efficient resource attraction and fosters economic relationships between business, labor, and the community. With me today is Aidi Palomino from Alianza and Cristina Torres from Comité Cívico de la Valle.
Great, thank you. You each have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Madam Chair and Senators, good morning. My name is Aida Palomino. I'm representing Alianza Coachella Valley, a joint sponsor of Senator Padilla's SB 534, which establishes the Green Empowerment Zone. Since 2010, Alianza has supported collaboration among organizations and government agencies in the Salton Sea region. We are jointly sponsoring SB 534 for 2 key reasons. As just mentioned, the first is that Salton Sea region designation is a key recommendation from the Blue Ribbon Commission on Lithium Extraction in California. The commission was convened with the support of the California Energy Commission in 2021, with Alianza's Executive Director Sylvia Paz as the chair, and Luis Olmedo, the Executive Director of Comité Cívico de Valle, also served on the commission. It hosted 23 meetings and gathered more than 290 comments from a diversity of stakeholders, including industry, academia, community-based organizations, public agencies, tribes, and local community members. At its end, its members found that existing informal community development models were ineffective and that a formal designation was needed to address historical disinvestment in the region. It would help the region better compete for grants, incentives, and private investments while building local capacity to drive community-led projects. The second reason for this designation is based on Alianza's own experience trying to advance projects that would benefit our communities who live and work in multiple jurisdictions with overlapping districts and organizations. There's no disagreement that working collaboratively across jurisdictions is essential for addressing historic underinvestment in our region. However, our communities are poor, our local governments have many competing interests, and the private sector lacks a central point for engagement. We believe that establishing a regional identity, such as a Green Empowerment Zone, will streamline collaboration, reduce redundancy in funding applications, and formalize collective efforts. This bill provides a structured way to ensure everyone has a seat at the table, shares responsibilities, and advances regional priorities highlighted in many research, including our own. Thank you for your time, and Senator, thank you also for this bill. Alianza respectfully requests that you vote aye on SB 534.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Cristina Torres. I'm the Director of Climate Equity and Resilience for Comité Cívico del Valle. Comité Cívico del Valle is a strong supporter of SB 534 and the leading environmental justice organization focused on lithium valley issues in the Imperial County. We were also a member of the CEC's Blue Ribbon Commission on Lithium Extraction, representing disadvantaged and low-income communities residing in the Salton Sea known geothermal resource area. Currently, we're the lead convener in Imperial County for the southern border region under the Governor's California Jobs First Regional Investment Initiative, and jointly authored a Lithium Valley Workforce Development Report under the California Workforce Board's High Road Training Partnership Program with the UC San Diego Labor Center last year. The development of a California-based clean energy supply chain in the Salton Sea region that facilitates vocational and higher education opportunities for local residents in their pursuit of high road quality jobs in the Imperial Valley emerging clean energy sector is a priority. SB 534 will create a regional designation as an additional strategy to encourage the successful build-out of Lithium Valley. Such a designation is a well-established tool for attracting state, federal, and private investments. SB 534 is modeled after the Contra Costa Empowerment Zone, but also goes a step further in pursuing cross-regional economic development cooperation in alignment with the Governor's economic blueprint. The blueprint supports an ecosystem of regions that can drive both local and cross-regional economic development initiatives, and SB 534 is drafted in the spirit of implementing this vision. Due to the remote rural locations and the rapid development of other areas in Southern California, Imperial County and the southeastern portion of Riverside County have historically been assigned to different economic regions, Imperial County with San Diego, and the Coachella and Palo Verde valleys with the Inland Empire. SB 534 provides a much-needed sub-regional overlay to support better collaboration on key Salton Sea projects and activities without disrupting existing state-assigned regions, county boundaries, and special districts. This innovative type of integration will break down geographical and economic silos on future clean energy projects that will undoubtedly transcend boundaries and transform the region. For these reasons, I respectfully request an aye vote today. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Torres. Appreciate both of your testimony. Is there lead opposition to this item? All right, then we'll take Me Too testimony in support. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Senators. Kobe Pizzati, representing the California Association of Recreation and Park Districts in support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good morning. Michael Chen on behalf of Audubon, California in support.
Okay, thank you.
Nisette Short on behalf of Loma Linda University Health.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anybody in the audience who is opposed but doesn't want to be lead opposition? Seeing no one, bring it back to the dais. Colleagues, Senator Archuleta.
Yes, thank you, Senator, for bringing this forward. This is your area, is it not, your district?
Madam Chair, Senator, absolutely.
Absolutely, and because of the Green Environment Zone, what do you envision, if you can close your eyes, 10 years from now? The growth, the prosperity, the workforce development. Tell me how you're going to change the region with this bill.
Madam
Senator
Chair.
Padilla, Senator Archuleta has clearly had more coffee than both of us.
I was going to beg the indulgence of the chair. She might throw the gavel at me. How much time do you have? Just to briefly respond to the question, Senator, thank you. I think the great irony that we face and the real complexity of the issue is that the state of California literally right now sits on about a third of total global demand for this critical strategic mineral, lithium. It has not just economic and public health and environmental, but also national security implications, as you well know. The interesting thing is, while we have a potentially superior workforce and we have existing infrastructure in the Salton Sea region, which is geothermal infrastructure in the ground, which means we already have infrastructure in the ground that can extract and separate lithium from brine in the most environmentally appropriate and superior manner anywhere on the planet. This is an impoverished, underinvested community without critical infrastructure, economic infrastructure, physical plant and equipment, where we have investments from CSU and UC that are putting pipelines together to train the special skills needed to work in this area. But there's no infrastructure to do co-production, for example, storage, or to export product that is of appropriate grade to market, to the global market. So it's one of the poorest, environmentally challenged areas of the state that literally is sitting on top of a gold mine. The problem we face is that we have huge infrastructure obligations and opportunities to make real in order to position California to compete globally. In Texas, in Arkansas, Louisiana, other states that don't have the same workforce or environmental standards we have in California, they can say to us, hey, to any investor, do you want us to extract and get product to market? We'll build it in sensitive habitat. We'll build it in tribal lands. We'll build it without any environmental review. We'll build it tomorrow, as a matter of fact. They have a competitive advantage over us. So in order for us to get there to some, before the chair throws a gavel at me, We need an architecture that helps coordinate interests and entities to better be strategic about going after funding and investment and what comes first. And that's what the empowerment zone. But if we do this right, Senator, this can be a huge opportunity not just for this region, but it can be a huge opportunity for the state.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Senator Archuleta. Senator Nilo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is basically a regional economic development collaboration effort, if you will. And it requires that in order to participate, individual jurisdictions have to volunteer to be included. And first of all, I'm going to support the bill, but I do have some critical questions to consider. Under the support, there's only one of the political jurisdictions, unless I'm reading this incorrectly, that is formally in support, the city of Imperial. Are you assured that all the political jurisdictions want to join the effort?
Madam Chair, Senator, as you and I both know, in this business, there's never complete assurance. But I have high confidence in continuing to collaborate and work with all of my constituents and relative jurisdictions and special districts to get that buy-in because everyone benefits. And I do have a high level of confidence that more and more support will come on.
The reason I ask the question is because, as the chair knows, I have extensive experience here in the Sacramento area with regard to regional collaboration, particularly in the economic development space. And due to being realistic, institutional egos, and the tendency of individual jurisdictions within a region, and by the way, our friends are sometimes our worst enemies. That's overstating it, but it is a challenge because there's a natural sort of parochial view. It's hard for one jurisdiction to realize the success of a neighboring jurisdiction helps them immensely, but it puts the success spotlight on the other, not on them. These dynamics make it very difficult to coalesce and collaborate within a regional area. And I offer that caution when I see only one jurisdiction in support. If your experience will be anywhere close to the experience I've had over the last 40 years being involved in things like this, it takes a lot of work.
Madam Chair, Senator, a point well taken. I don't quite have 40, but about 30. And I can tell you both in local, regional, and other experiences in state government, working on federal policy issues, I've experienced much the same. I love a good challenge. I think the focus is always to be trying to highlight and articulate mutual benefit. In the absence of that mutual collaboration, it's a scenario where there could be zero benefit realized. And I think that's what's always important to emphasize, is that there's a certain set of benefits that only come through collaboration. And you're absolutely right, sir. It is not easy.
Senator Choi.
Okay, thank you, Senator Padilla. Thank you for the presentation. It's exciting to read that this Salton Sea region has a very important resource, lithium, which I understand is a very important part of our element for electric car battery manufacturing. Has there been any extensive study on this? How much lithium is buried in there, or it can be excavated? I know this is what I heard was very expensive. So I would like to know how extensively that the region has that resource of lithium. And number two is that in the Salton Sea itself, or is that in the region? The region means where is it buried, and when that's excavated, I know we are dealing with always CEQA. Have you looked into whether it is compatible with the environmental issues, or whether CEQA will put a brake on it, or they will be exempting for that special region of a green empowerment zone will have exemption for that kind of development?
Madam Chair, Senator, thank you for the questions. First, as to the quantification, most of the surveys that have been done based upon existing infrastructure, there's already a substantial amount of infrastructure in the Salton Sea region that is for geothermal energy. And that infrastructure, it turns out, the brine that is extracted has, because of the unique geological features and the environmental history of the Salton Sea and its evaporation and high salinity and a lot of other factors that are really kind of complex, there is a large deposit of this mineral right in the proximity of the Salton Sea. And most professional estimates indicate as much as 30% of global demand, which is massive. The advantage, again, is that there's already existing infrastructure that could double its purpose and be utilized to extract and separate lithium from the brine. So that's the one. The CEQA question with respect to establishing an empowerment zone, I think the empowerment zone establishes a multi-dimensional, multi-jurisdictional, multi-interest hub where priorities can be established and agreed upon, coordinated action in seeking investment, seeking public funds, and the use of those funds to leverage the ability to build massive infrastructure at scale to help assist in identifying key skill sets and workforce development demands. All of these things need a point of collaboration that is much more geographically specified. The bill before you follows basically the Jobs First economic blueprint set of recommendations. We have a Southern Border Coalition that looked at the Southern Border economic region that was identified in the study, which was just released this year in February. And so this is very, very consistent with those recommendations and that of the Blue Ribbon Committee about what kind of structure and tool can actually help operationalize a lot of the challenges and recommendations that have been made.
It's so exciting that that the region has 30% of our global needs, not the U.S. needs. So that means we don't have to go out of country to import the lithium. And I think that was one of the big challenges for the U.S. But is there any production right now being done of this lithium, or is it planning stage?
Madam Chair, Senator, unfortunately, no, but the potential is there and part of the infrastructure there. And I think the challenge, again, is to make sure that the global investors, and there are a number who have reinvested and bought up some of that infrastructure with the sole desire to get into the lithium extraction business, encounter challenges. To be frank, in California, we've done a lot of great work to prepare this table, but we face challenges in really preparing, for example, a strategic suite of incentives on behalf of the state that clearly identify our partnership posture to help incentivize more investment and get guarantees on community benefit, employment, and workforce development. We don't have an integrated plan to really build out specific infrastructure to co-produce on site, which is also an economic advantage, and to export product to market. This is an area that is very doesn't have a lot of infrastructure because it's been underinvested and overlooked historically. And so the bar is high for us to position ourselves in a way that's really competitive. And so we need every kind of structure in the arsenal that we can bring to bear to position California to be competitive. One additional challenge has been certain fees that are assessed for toxic substances. An interesting irony, and it's a subject of perhaps different legislation, certain geotherm uses are or are not exempt from those fees. That if they're not exempt from those fees, that puts an additional burden on the cost investors face to be able to position themselves in a competitive way. So there's a lot of big challenges for California to get this right, and I'm hoping that if we can successfully put a structure together like an empowerment zone, that it will bring real benefit to the state.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I brought up CEQA, because CEQA is always an impediment for investors from outside, or any ideal project, that the promising project that you are talking about. But when the CEQA gets involved, the license fees, permit period, it just gets too bogged down for a long time. So it's also exciting that the region has also geothermal resources, and that can be a very vital our power supply. But how it is coping with the CEQA requirements, meeting the CEQA demands, is it right now being producing electricity with the geothermal energy that you are talking about?
Senator Padilla, I'm going to ask you to address that in your close, if you wouldn't mind. We're not quite halfway through our agenda, and I need to keep us moving, if that's okay with our vice chair. Is there anything else you'd like to offer up to him that you'd like him to address in his close?
Okay, if you can address, that would be my final question. Then I'm very interested in that potential of the region. Yeah.
Appreciate it. It is a tremendous opportunity, and I enjoy hearing my colleagues' support and interest in the issue, and applaud you, Senator, for your dogged tenacity to figure out a way to identify how to get this resource out of the ground and into sort of monetized into the community and into our state, and as others have stated, including Vice Chair Choi, how to do that without having to go outside of our own state. Pretty cool stuff and pretty cool opportunity. I would just like to say one thing to you about Senator Nilo's comment. You might remember not too long ago, just a couple of weeks ago, there was a hearing in the Energy Commission, where we talked a little bit about a battery group that was coming to Sacramento, and the good senator who put together the Contra Costa Green Zone said in that hearing, I'm a little jealous this didn't happen in the Green Zone I created. The reason that happened in Sacramento is because of the group that Senator Nilo and former Mayor Kevin Johnson put together, which is here, it's called the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. But an economic council that brings the region partners together, and it's not just elected officials. In fact, it's a little light on elected officials, actually. It's more focused on, UC Davis, Sac State, high-ranking business entities here, other folks who can talk to what it's like to do business in the region. That has become a major economic development tool for Sacramento, and you can really point to them on several economic victories in this region, large-scale, high-profile ones that they've gotten involved with. And it might just be a tool that could help you, because I see what you're doing. You're weaving together as many economic development tools as you can to really try to push forward the idea and concept that exists uniquely in your district, which I think is fantastic. But it might be worth talking to Senator Nilo offline a little bit about the power of an economic council and how that can really help push an agenda forward as well. All of that being said, this is great work, and I think it's exciting, which is why you get so much interest here. You have a motion from Senator Archuleta, so I'll give you the opportunity to close.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for the input and the comments and the collaboration, and I'll be brief to answer Senator Choi's question. Yes, there is export of that element in the energy portfolio. It's limited, sometimes feels a little left behind, but it has, the infrastructure that's there has great potential to be applied in the lithium space. And with that, Madam Chair and members, I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Senator Padilla. We will call the roll.
Motion is due pass the Senate Local Government Committee. Ashby?
Aye.
Ashby, aye. Choi?
Aye.
Choi, aye. Archuleta?
Aye.
Archuleta, aye. Adagin? Grayson?
Aye.
Grayson, aye. Menjivar? Nilo?
Aye.
Nilo, aye. Smallwood Cuevas? Strickland? Umberg?
Aye.
Umberg, aye. Weber Pearson?
Is that 6? All right, so 6 for now, but we'll put it on call and we'll get everybody at the end. All right.
Thank you, Madam Chair,
Senator Padilla.